Hey, experts, we've got something really awesome that we do here at Coffee Experts Club, and that's called the My First Drive-Through Coffee Masterclass. So if you're opening your next coffee shop, I think a lot of times you may think to yourself, I know what goes into opening a coffee shop. I've been doing this for years, but maybe you've been doing it for somebody else. And maybe this is your first option of starting a coffee shop on your own. Or maybe you don't know anything about coffee and you're just like, I'm looking for a good investment opportunity. Starting a coffee shop seems like a good place to put it, and you're going to enter into it. But what you don't know is all the things that you don't know, right? And so what we've done with this masterclass is taken behind the scenes, how you find your first location, what you need to be thinking about in finding a location. We give you a gift in the masterclass where it's a step-by-step process of how you're opening your coffee shop, the different checkpoints you need from coming up with your plans and talking with the city and then negotiating a lease. And then how do you build a team and what are the different pieces you need to be thinking about? It's a great masterclass, door to door, start to finish, completely free on opening up your next coffee drive-through. So check it out. It's at myfirstdrivethrough.coffee, and it's a great masterclass. You won't regret it. We'll see you on the inside there.
Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club, where we discuss all of the insights, expertise, and drama that goes into making your passion your profession. Our hosts, Aaron, Ben, and Drew, are three coffee experts who have taken their coffee experience and turned it into true expertise. They have consulted with major coffee brands throughout the United States and beyond, providing operations expertise and growth strategy for drive-through openings, multiple locations, and everything in between. So brew yourself a cup and hang out a bit with the Coffee Experts Club.
Ben, Drew, excellent to see you gentlemen today. How's the day?
Today? Nice.
Good day. Good day.
Good day, sir.
What do they say at night, at the nighttime, Drew, when you pass somebody in the streets in Belize?
Good night.
Good night. That's right. Good night. Like something we would say, like tell people we're going to
Yeah.
bed. They say it like we would say good day. Good night.
Good night, sir. How you doing? Like I say, it's like good night, hello. It's backwards. I don't, weird.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, I dropped something on socials that was kind of a collector for us to get at people's answers when it comes here at the Coffee Experts Club. We're talking to people who are thinking about starting a drive-through, have a drive-through, thinking about expanding their drive-throughs when it comes to all things coffee. So I dropped a question out this last week and I said, hey, if you're dreaming about starting your own drive-through, drop comments down below and we'll talk about it here on the podcast. So I'm excited to talk about that. We had some folks that reached out, which is always great to hear from people and their questions about the whole idea of starting coffee. You know, Drew and I started this coffee shop down in Belize a couple of years ago now. It's been 2 years. Actually, we had our 2-year anniversary just last week on the 11th, 11/11. It was awesome. Drew served on 11/11. He served 1,100 cups, which is crazy to do out of our little walk up there on Street San Ignacio on Burns, but it was such a great thing. It's so exciting. And a lot of people have these things in their hearts. They want to start it and they just don't know where to go to with the questions, or maybe they've run coffee for somebody else and they think they have all the answers. Man, my highest warning I have to you is don't assume you know too much because it bites you back. Like find somebody you can trust, coffee experts that you can lean into, ask your hard questions. So man, continue to take advantage of that when you see us post stuff like this. But maybe do we want to talk about that just real quick on some of the jitters, some of the bugs, some of the nervousnesses we see in new people that are starting coffee, things or mistakes maybe they make, and maybe talk about those for a minute, just to speak to that and speak to people who are listening, just to let them know they're not alone.
Yeah, I mean, the jitters don't go away. I just
Mhm.
put that out there right now. We do this grand opening deal we just did, and I pregame jitters every time. You know, I've been doing this for over 10 years, and
You messaged me,
just
right? Didn't you message me? And you're like, why do I feel like this every time? You open dozens and dozens and dozens of these things. Why do I feel like this every time?
and it always goes just fine. It's always smooth, but it's just, say that to say, don't let the jitters stop you. You know, it's even when you're doing well, when you're executing well, you're going to get the jitters. I think, some things that I've seen people struggle with out the gate is getting the word out about what they're doing, and when you're opening a shop, you have a million things going on, but you don't want to forget to advertise. You don't want to forget to reach out to the community or kind of decide based on what your mission statement is or what your theme is or what your demographic is going to be, and start that reach out process early so that you have a little steam before you open up. And we've seen that here. People just don't advertise down here, which is an interesting thing. So a couple of things that I've noticed.
Signage, right? Like signage along with your advertising. Make sure, like, you would be so surprised how many coffee shops we counsel with and that we consult with, that we roll up and we're like, where's your sign? Like, or your sign is like not visible, or You are not making it very clear that what you want people to know is that you're a drive-through coffee shop. Like that's what you're here to do. Like big, bold, scream it. Like people need to see it. They're driving by a lot of times a lot faster than you want them to be. You need to let them know that you're there. So advertising, signage, I think that's good. Ben, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I was gonna totally agree with Drew. I mean, even here, I can't count how many little stands I've seen that have swapped over to, because the first stand that was there just didn't produce. So somebody buys it and they swap companies and like, oh, that's a new coffee shop now. And like, I would have never known if I didn't just happen to look that way one day. Like, if you're gonna be opening a new shop, like the biggest marketer you can have is 15 cars in your line. Like that grabs people's attention. But if you're just like a stand on the side of the road that people drive by every day and they don't know that it's different, that you're not doing any marketing to get out that you're opening, it's gonna be hard to just, turn on the open sign and expect people to show up. I think, I mean, as much as I give those big grand opening deals grief, like they serve a purpose. They are a giant flashing billboard to say that like, hey, there's something new here. You've driven by this lot for the last 7 years. Look over here now for something new.
And I think it's like I love the Coffee Republic guys, our clients up in Montana, and they're like 3-day when they open. Crazy, crazy talk, 3-day. And people like I know I was talking to a coffee shop this week that's a new client that we're meeting with, but they were so adverse to like the thought of discounting their drinks or like offering like I can't do a buy one get one free. Like we can't afford that. But if you can translate in somebody's mind of I'm not saying do it every day. I'm not saying do it all the time. I'm saying being very strategic when you do it, but realize if you can equate in your mind, no, 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 I'm putting those dollars towards marketing. Just like you
Mhm.
said, Ben, like I'm going to post it on my socials. I'm going to ask people to share it. People share free, people share discounted stuff all the time. They want their friends to know about that, right? So you immediately make your social media as like a beacon with this like advertising opportunity for free or discounted or whatever it's going to be and make it good. Don't make it cheesy. 20% off a cup. Nobody wants 20% off a cup. Like give them like half off, like buy one, get one, like buy a pound of beans, buy this and get a pound of beans. Do something cool where you're giving something out and realize just load that in your brain into marketing dollars. All that is marketing dollars. And I remember, I'll never forget when we interviewed John Mayers. If you haven't watched that show, Jonathan from Coffee Republic, we spent some time talking about this and he said, yeah, it cost us, I think it was something like 9 grand or something, Drew, that opening day that they did 9 grand in coffee that we gave out. But we would have spent probably that much, at least that much in doing marketing for this thing. And
Mhm.
instead we gave 9 grand out in goodwill to people to hopefully create a habit. So I think don't underestimate lines of cars in your drive-through as marketing. Super good idea, Ben.
Yep.
And I think something also that I had a hard time with breaking into a market is the belief that you can do it. You know what I mean? Like you've seen it done, you know that it can be done, but like, can you do it? And I think we had that a little bit here when the moments of, what are we doing? Yeah, is this going to work? How are we going to execute this? And I'd say, lean into what the community, have language the community already speaks. So like in Montana, they did radio advertising. They had somebody there because the community listened to the radio. That's not going to be everywhere, but that specific town, that's what they did. And here in Belize, we try to get with local outfits that were already prominent in the community. So find ways to plug in your business to things that the community already cares about, already is associating with, and already frequents, or talks about, what does the social media look like for the area. And in that way, I felt a lot more like we actually belong here. It's so much like an outsider starting your own thing.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
love it. Well, hey, I'm gonna jump to some of these questions, guys, that we got asked on the social medias regarding starting your own coffee shop. The first one was, what did your permitting process look like? Which let me tell you, almost anybody you talk to, the permitting process is a son of a bitch. Like that's how the ping works. It's sad to say, like a lot of cities are like, we want to support new companies, new business, come here. And then you get into the quagmire of getting permits and you're like, this was the most miserable back assward way of bureaucratic bull crap, like red tape nonsense. Like it's how it goes. So I think it depends on the town that you're in. Obviously for us down in Belize, I think it was a little bit easier, right? Because they're not as formalized as a lot of things are here in the States. So that's really helped us down in Belize. But Ben, maybe you want to talk a little bit about just opening some Tri-Cities shops. I know that there are a lot of times we had to deal with the city. The architect deals with the city. You had to
Mhm.
deal with the city. You had to deal with the utilities that were going to have to pull extra things because the permitting process was going to require more or less. Like maybe speak to
Mhm.
that just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I would say definitely first off, like work with find an architect who's going to do a lot of that heavy lifting for you. The last thing that you want to do is have to be, especially when you're just talking about plans and the city has regulations on ingress, egress, like
Yep.
distance from the street, all of that. If you can find a good architect who says, yeah, I take that on as part of the deal, then great, do that. That takes a lot of the headache away. And then once you get past final, actual build outs, and then you're actually talking about operating, then it's on you to be communicating with the city. So like that's just honestly for me, it was a bunch of phone calls going, hey, I'm opening a coffee shop. What do you need specifically from me? What do I need to get specifically from you? Oh, utilities aren't with you. Utilities are with the county instead of the city. Oh, trash isn't with you. Trash is private. Like all of that is different city by city. And the only way you can figure that out is to just talk to a person, which is usually a pain in the butt to get to anyways. But once you finally do get them on the phone, like go through your big list. Where are my utilities? Where's my water? Where's my sewer? Where's my trash? How do I get a hold of the health department for all my health department permitting? Just get that list and then start dialing those phone numbers. What do I need to get this? You can go online and they've said that, you can do a lot of these applications online, but honestly, it's faster to submit applications online, but you don't know where that goes, especially when you're dealing with the city. It can literally just go into somebody's inbox and just sit there. Go with a phone call because then you've got them then and there. You can get all the details that you need.
I don't underestimate the power of relationships.
Yes.
What we have here in Belize, like it's not so thick with bureaucracy. I can go meet with people. I can walk in anytime. I can knock on their doors. It's not like that in the U.S., but you can find out who's in charge of what, by phone calls. And I think people in those offices so often just get treated like, they're paper pushers. They're the ones who sign documents and often like, call them up and build a rapport and call them a few times, and ask how they're doing. And I mean, in coffee, that's going to be good practice anyways. That's what we do with our customers all the time. So don't underestimate just a little good conversation with the people who are in charge of those departments.
I would say too, like find experts like Ben was saying, like maybe it's an architect, maybe it's your engineer, maybe it's the GC that you hire to do all your stuff. But like a lot of people think about like, how can I do it on the cheap? And so they use maybe the cheapest bid that they got. I don't think that's always a good idea. Like ask around, like let that guy tell you what he's able to get done at the city for you. Like all these professionals, all these experts are there. You've hired them. They're not your buddy. They're not your pal. They're a professional you're paying to help you get across the finish line. I know I was talking to my friend Drew, who has coffee shops called Stomping Ground in Nashville, Tennessee area, in Hendersonville, actually. And he was saying for the newest location that they're looking about putting up, the engineer he talked about, he ran by him. They were going to have this problem with the swale in the back, like this water retention. The city a lot of times is looking for an opportunity to angle in on you, right? To get you to have to do extra stuff, like to bring up your, like maybe they've been looking for something to do on that side of town for a long time. They're going to pin it on you as you start up this business to have you take on the cost to do the upgrade. And he was talking to this engineer about it and he goes, that's bullshit. No, we're not doing that. No, I'll take care of that. I deal with that guy all the time. We're not doing that. That was just done 2 years ago on the guy behind you. We're not going to do that again. Like I think it was, so find experts that know what they're talking about, who can go in and get involved with the city and push back because they have a relationship, because they're always in there doing it. So
Yeah.
I would say permitting process can look different everywhere you go, but find good experts that you can partner with that have relationships that are known in the county or in the city that you're working in. They can go to bat for you. That's what I would advocate for.
One more just to go with that, just to go
Yeah.
along with Drew's is foster those relationships well. I've
Yes.
seen a lot of business owners who go and they build or they work with contractors and they just treat them like garbage. Hey, you didn't do this for me. Screw you, dude. I'm going to go with somebody else. And they don't foster those relationships well. Even with the city, if you're kind and work nicely with people, people will be kind and work nicely with you. And they'll be more willing to say, hey, I'll talk to that guy for you. Let me take care of this. But if you're just like, hey, this is a transaction only, here's your money, see you guy, don't talk to me ever again. That's not going to bode well for you. It bodes well to foster those relationships well.
I like that. It's good. I think that's probably one of the biggest lessons in business I could advocate for anywhere is make good allies, man, and then maintain your allies well. You know what I mean? Like take care of them. Realize that every relationship's going to have some hiccups. There are going to be things that people do that piss you off. Like be the bigger man, be the bigger woman, like roll through that with people, like maintain good relationships because you're going to want to call on that downstream. And if you're known as somebody that just burns bridges everywhere you go, like people are going to be reluctant to work with you. and because you've earned a bad name for yourself, and really you deserve it. If you're a dick, then you shouldn't be worked with. I mean, that's how it works. Hey, coffee experts, those of you running independent coffee shops, you're always looking for ways that you can drop your costs. And we here at the Coffee Experts Club really understand that. And so we've started something called Indie Coffee Coalition. And what it's designed to do is to drop your costs on two of the things that you're probably experiencing the highest sales volume in your store. And that is energy drink and frat mix. Those two line items, we've created our own products and are offering you those products at a reduced cost so that you can cut out the Red Bull of America. You can cut out the main lines of energy drinks that you're doing and serve your own energy drink at a reduced cost on a line item that you're probably already making a lot of sales on anyway. The best way that you can grow sales is by dropping your costs and maintaining a current volume. So check us out at indiecoffee.co, and we'll love to tell you more there. So number 2, next question. Would you do a shop, a cart, a coffee truck if you had the choice? And this may be something we all have a little bit different opinion on. So let's round robin. Let's workshop this a little bit.
For me, this depends solely on where you are. So the first thing I would take into consideration is where you live. Is this a high foot traffic location, or is this a suburban high vehicle traffic location? If you're in a high foot traffic location, I'd say a cart or a coffee truck could work well. I always think of like Portland is a great example. They have like a food truck lot that everybody walks by all day long, and they've got thousands of feet walking by it. That's a good spot for a coffee truck. If you're in a park that people have to drive 15 minutes to, it's not a good idea for a cart because you're out of the way. You don't have foot traffic. So it really depends. I would always err on the side of, though, if you can find the space, a shop is the way to go.
Drew, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I managed the cafes for a long time and the cafe drive-through hybrids. I think one of the biggest things that helped us out at Roasters was our community aspect, the culture that we were able to foster. And we were able to do that a lot with the cafe style because we could have customers hanging out in the lobby and just chatting with baristas and really getting to know people. And I know what we want is a quick turnaround. We want in and out. That's what drive-throughs are for. That's why the hybrid is nice because you're going to have two kinds of customers. You're going to have people who want to sit and want to chat. So I'd advocate for, I love the drive-through style, but I love the cafe style as well. And something I think unique that's happening where we're from is it's kind of a metro area and it's growing really fast. So we have a friend of ours.
Oh man, cliffhanger, talking about friends. Do you have friends? We know that. No, anybody that knows you knows you have friends. Dang it. Lee's internet working against him, leaving us on cliffhangers.
That's okay. It's this mobile coffee cart that drives around, does deliveries, makes it easy on people so that, if you have a company or if you have an event, that's how they can take care of it. And actually doing really well.
Yeah.
That's great. That's good. I get it, man. Belize internet. Listen, you can't have the beach and fall in the weather and the internet, bro. Like you can't do it all. So like, I just know that's all. Unless we go the way of Elon, which we've discussed. So anyway, I was talking about, I think it depends on where you're at when it comes to finance and what you're trying to do. Some of the best advice I had when I first went to start my first business was my attorney sat me down. It was back before all of the websites that you can do, Rocket Lawyer, all those things, start your own LLC. So I went to an attorney to help me set up an LLC. And I sat down with him and I gave him my whole business plan. And I said, what do you think? And he said, I'd think a lot better of it if you weren't going to work it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what do you mean? And he said, well, you can find some 21-year-old kid to run your shop for you. You have a big monthly nut. You have 4 kids. You have a house payment. And if to put that much tax onto the business, that's a lot of expectation out of your little business when you're starting straight out of the can. I'd feel a lot better if you didn't work it. And I remember thinking to myself, why would I open it if I'm not going to work it? Like I was looking to get out of my job. I was looking to get into something I was excited about. And I think really ask yourself the hard questions of, are you trying to buy yourself a job? And be really careful of what is your monthly nut. Because I know for Drew and I down in Belize, we haven't taken any money out of the business. Our whole thing is we're not going to take any money out of the business for the first 3 years. All the money stays in the business and we recapitalize. That's what's enabled us to open 2 shops in less than a year. That's what's enabled us, hopefully, to open up a 3rd shop within this next, 3 to 6 months. I think is stay well capitalized so you can continue to grow and then begin to take member draws. But we couldn't do that if Drew and I didn't have work outside of the coffee shops that we have. So I'd say, if you're looking to get into something, like I would say good markers to hold in your brain, to build a shop from ground up, the building alone is probably going to cost you somewhere between $200,000 to $300,000. I think people are always so shocked when I say that number. But like that little coffee shop, that 400 to 900 square foot shop that you're like, that couldn't have cost anything to build. No matter how you do it, modular or stick built, you're probably going to be into it $200,000 to $300,000, just the building, not the land. The land excavation itself is astronomical right now. Like that's like the engineering on the land, the pushing of the dirt, the infrastructure, bringing all the utilities to the lot. But that's really expensive in the States right now. So don't undercut how much money you're going to need to do this, and find an investor. Don't go into it blind. Don't get halfway into it and then realize you just tapped out all your resources. So I'd say cost wise, like a building's gonna be more expensive. A truck, you're probably looking at somewhere between, I'd say like $50,000 to $100,000 is probably what you're going to be into for a truck. So just go into it with those things, because you don't want to shortcut yourself on the equipment you need in that truck the way you want to. Not all of us know you drive by a janky truck and you're like, I'm not going to get fruit from that truck. Like, I don't want to buy something that looks like that. Like we're just funny people. We're consumers, right? We want something beautiful and unique. And so make sure you're going to put the time in there. I know a gal who just started a cart. And the thing that I loved about this concept of cart is she considers it like another door. So what she does, like you're always trying to open doors, right? And she goes to football games and she's got this invite with the school, and it's an exclusive, and they always invite her out there. And her coffee cart is the only one there serving her brand of coffee that's a pipe in to her stand that she has right down the street. So for her, she doubled her doors at a low cost and then gave her a second location at a cheap entry point. That then if she does it right, she can use that capital to begin to build up towards her next big move, whether that's a truck or it's a shop. So I think that a lot of that depends on where you're at in your business model, what you're looking for this business to do for you. All of those things would affect that decision.
Yeah, I would say investment directly correlates to revenue. That shop is going to be that biggest investment. That's going to be your biggest revenue driver of the three out the gate. A cart, that's a low investment, but it's not like, there's a football game all day, every day. Like you're limited on where you can sell that cart, unless like you're saying, it's more of like another door and a marketing piece for her shop that's on the street. Same thing with the truck. Like a truck, you can only park that certain places, and you got to hope that the owner of that pavement that you're parking on is okay with you being there.
That's right. That's good. That's good. And I think probably just to wind up today's show, just to talk real quick about credit or business loan or your own capital that you saved up. I think a lot of that depends on your big financial picture. That's a hard question for us to answer. We don't like, do you own a house? Could you pull money out of your house to go start this thing? That probably be the cheapest percentage of money that you're going to be able to get, whereas credit cards are going to be a higher percentage. Like taking out even a personal loan is going to be a higher percentage. Like finding an investor, they're going to want part of your working capital that comes out of that business. So I'd say as much as you can, like Drew and I have determined, we don't want to bring extra partners in. It's just me and Drew. You know what I mean? So we've had to bootstrap it. In Belize, you have to use all cash. We don't have any credit in Belize. They don't give loans out in Belize, So that's required us to really self-capitalize and come into it all cash. I think you can get a little more creative here in the States and do some financing. You're going to have to secure that with assets. Everybody's picture is a little bit different. I would always say, talk to your CPA and get some good advice. Don't go into it blind. Don't go into it bootstrapped and then get yourself bent over the barrel first year in, and then have to make some erratic decisions because you're strapped for cash. Like, come at it both eyes open. We would love to consult you with that. We do a lot of consulting here at Collab team with Coffee Experts Club. So just reach out to us. We'd love to help you make those kinds of decisions. So boys, good getting to talk to you today. Good questions coming out of the socials. I hope that helps folks. And once again, direct your friends back here. If you're thinking about starting a coffee shop, you're thinking about growing your shop, this is the place to come. Coffee Experts Club. Gentlemen, I hope you have an amazing Thanksgiving. All of our listeners, I hope you have an amazing Thanksgiving, and we'll see you here next time on Coffee Experts Club.
Thanks so much for joining us today. For those of you who are looking to become a coffee expert yourself, we offer an incredible, thorough training online for opening your first coffee drive-thru at www.myfirstdrivethru.coffee.